Marinaro, the Sick Podcast. It's an off night for the Montreal Canadiens, who played their first two preseason games on Monday and on Tuesday. The Montreal Canadiens will be back at it tomorrow night when they host the Toronto Maple Leafs in their third preseason game. And there's so much to talk about, of course. There's a bunch of players who are trying to make this team. David Reinbacher is one. Joshua Roy is another. Florian Xhekaj. Those are some big names. How about Oliver Kapanen, Joe Veleno, Samuel Blais? The list goes on and on. We're going to discuss it with Eric Engels. And, of course, there's so many storylines. Florian scoring yesterday. Arber scoring yesterday, both in scoring in front of their mom, Simona, who drove down, 6-hour drive to make her way down. She sees both her kids playing their first ever game with the Montreal Canadiens. They both score a goal. Florian got involved in a fight with Nick Deslauriers as well. And then she drove back home another 6 hours right after the game. Kakkonen, how's he done? Dobesh, how's he done? We know what Jacob Fowler did. Once again, there's so many questions. Second line, who's centering that second line? Marty St. Louis says it's going to be Kirby Dach, but if it's not Kirby Dach, well, then who's it going to be? Are you worried about Patrick Laine at left wing? One guy can answer all these questions. He's Eric Engels at Sportsnet, sportsnet.ca. He'll join me coming up right here on the Sick Podcast.
It's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick Podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came in to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
SICK is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. SICK,
S-I-C-K,
SICK,
S-I-C-K,
SICK.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement, et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Leur 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Wednesday, September 24th. We're a little bit late. Sorry about that. Thanks for watching, as you usually do, weeknights at 10 p.m. Had a little bit of, when your laptop at one point just all of a sudden it's on and then it jams up and you need to restart. Well, I had one of those moments. All right, okay. So special thanks to all of our sponsors. I'm going to start with Souvlaki Authentique. By the way, I was there about a week ago with Agnello, Sammy, and Juliana, the Cavaleros, at the new location that opened up several weeks ago in Kirkland. So hello to Jimmy, who's the owner there. Montreal knows good food. Nothing hits like Souvlaki Authentique. Every stick of Souvlaki is marinated fresh. Every pita is packed with flavor, and the potatoes twice fried and finished with that signature lemon sauce. It's comfort food, Greek style, family-run, flavor-packed, and proud to serve Montreal. Go to souvlakiauthentique.com to find your nearest location and bring the taste of Greece home to you. It's a pretty cool place to go to. Also want to give a shout-out to Energy Transportation Group. By the way, they got a new contest that's going, and if you become a new shipping partner with Energy Transportation Group, book at least one shipment between now and the 13th of October. You'll have a chance to win tickets to the Montreal Canadiens home opener on Tuesday, the 14th of October versus the Seattle Kraken. Eligible shipments, by the way, include cross-border freight between Canada and the U.S. And Mexico, or domestic shipments within Canada or the United States. Email sick@shipenergy.com to ship, of course, and to enter the contest. Who's going to finish first in the East? Who's going to finish first in the West? Those are things you can bet on with Betway. Go all the way with Betway. Get a free bet up to $200. If your first bet loses, scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offers only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. Please play responsibly. If you allow me another 30 seconds or maybe a minute, tonight was a very, very special night that took place in Laval. but in the history of our city and in the history of our province, we're going to remember the 24th of September 2025. I'm hoping for a very, very long time, because since the arrival of the Canadian Premier League, we've been crossing our fingers here in the province of Quebec that the province of Quebec would get a team, and that we got a team in Montreal. And it was announced, it was made official today. There was a the big announcement and the launch that took place, where they're going to be playing actually at the Stade Boreal in Laval. There is the logo. The FC Supra was a team that we had in Montreal before having the Montreal Impact in the early 90s, and the team is going to be called FC Supra du Québec. I want to bring up a picture with the owners and also the president of the team. Of course, you'll recognize the president of the team, Rocco Placentino, who is on the far left, who is a former player with the Montreal Impact, among other teams, because he had a very long career where he played for several clubs in Italy. On the far right is Matt Rosetta of the North Six Group. He's an owner of Campobasso Football Club, who's in the 3rd division in Italy, as well as several other sports teams, be it soccer, be it basketball, be it masculine, be it feminine. Angelo Pasto is right next to Rocco. He is a Montreal businessman who's also an owner of several sports teams and an associate of Matt Rosetta's. He's a Montrealer. Next to Matt Rosetta, you're going to find Jean-Francois Chenaille of Chenaille Import Export. And right in the middle is Stéphane Tétrault of EB Games Canada. So those are, members of the ownership group. And so once again, we want to congratulate them for bringing the CPL to Montreal. Let's bring in Eric Engels. What's going on?
How are you?
Very good. What's up? What are you laughing about?
Took a little nap there for about 7 minutes.
Why? Because I was talking about the sponsors that play your salary?
I needed it to bring my energy for tonight.
Okay, you need it because you needed the nap. All right, thank you. I'm really encouraged to find out that when I was talking that you were sleeping. Okay, I guess I got to work on my game.
Man. You're usually so entertaining.
Yeah, I know. I was talking about soccer for 2 minutes, so I lost you. But if you would have been talking about golf, you would have been doing cartwheels. All right, okay.
Pickleball.
Yeah, pickleball is a lot more popular than soccer, I'm sure. Said nobody. Okay, let's get down to business. You've been talking about Florian Xhekaj for quite some time.
A little bit.
Yeah, and now I saw something early. Obviously, he showed what he could do yesterday. He picked up a big goal yesterday. He got into a big fight with Nick Delorier. And, I think it's unanimous. Everyone is saying that, Florian Xhekaj, the Canadians can use that kind of player. But there's also a bunch of us, and myself included, saying, okay, they can. There's no doubt about it. And I think we're going to see him here sooner rather than later. But, the question needs to be asked. Whose spot does he grab? And is he not better off served in Laval, where he would probably play a bigger role, get more minutes, and probably develop more? And maybe that's true. Maybe it's not true. Love to have your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't think he's necessarily immediately ready, but he's really not far off. He's knocking on the door. And the thing is, his job at camp is to get noticed. His job is to do the things that would make him noticed. And you notice him. He's pretty impossible not to notice on the ice.
Yeah.
That's important. You said they could use a player like him. I think they could use 3 of them. So it's good that these kids will have that chance to develop. When you think of him, when you think of Thorpe, when you think of Davidson, who plays with an edge, when you think of even Luke Tuck, who may not have a lot of offensive upside, but you need guys that can bang and crash and do that kind of job. You say the Canadians could use a player like that. I think they could use 3 players like that. Josh Anderson was a game changer in the playoffs for them. He was a game changer for all. Without Josh Anderson last year, the Canadians don't make playoffs. Just the straight line play from him, Gallagher, and Dvorak together. And I think it will be replicated with Evans between those 2 guys, and those 2 guys being so comfortable with their role. And the style of play that line has is essential to the way the Canadiens want to play. It's essential to wearing down the competition. It's essential to getting through the marathon of 82 games and potentially getting through a round of the playoffs and beyond that. You can't just have one. You got to have 3, 4, 5, 6 of those guys. When Marty talks about pack mentality, when he talks about a feature of grit and sandpaper that he'd like to see as the collective of the Canadiens, that's everybody that has to play that way. It's easier to play that way when you naturally have those elements like Florian Xhekaj does.
Yeah.
And in game 1 of the preseason, Jared Davidson showed, and he showed it in Laval also, if you were watching down there. He has that edge and that bite and that willingness to drop his gloves too, and he can play.
Who knows? 3 years from now, the Canadiens could have a line of Florian Xhekaj with Thorpe and Davidson. Right? So it's a possibility. Like, those are all prototypical fourth line players, a crash and bang line, an energy line, a hit the opponent line, an in on the forecheck line, a change the momentum of a hockey game line. And you're right, the Canadiens could use 3 of those players. You know, they don't grow on trees, and you got to be pretty lucky for them to all be ready at the same time. I've been saying something since yesterday, and I'm going to say it again. I don't think Florian Xhekaj starts the season with Montreal. I really wouldn't be surprised at all if he finishes the season with the Canadiens, though. And if he doesn't finish the season with the Canadiens, it's because the Canadiens probably went out, they got somebody at the deadline that probably is a little bit more ready. But the Canadiens know, after playing Washington in the playoffs and losing out to Washington, they definitely need those kinds of players, because that's what Washington had over the Canadiens, I thought, in the playoffs. They had a bit more size, a bit more grit, a bit more experience, a bit more nastiness, a bit more toughness. I thought that was a difference.
You're right. It was. It certainly was through the first game of the series, which tilted the series Washington's way. But I think the Canadiens knew well before going into that series that that was what they need. And it brings us to the most relevant topic of this training camp, Tony. There is one job available on this roster. It's next to Bolduc and Newhook.
Correct.
And you got to think about what the profile is of the player that would ideally fill that role. And I think somebody who brings some of those elements, and I'm not saying a guy who has to drop the gloves and fight. I'm talking about a guy who plays with edge. I think when you look at the players that are in the competition, whether it's the veterans in Veleno and Blais, or it's the kids in Beck and Kapanen and Xhekaj and whoever else you want to throw in the mix, the guys who have a bit of that edge.
Kapanen.
Does Kapanen have that edge?
No, not edge. I'm talking about young guys that you could throw into the mix that are probably looking
I
to be
mentioned
that 12th guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, if you're like me, and this is just on paper, I've got either Veleno or Blais as number 13. But the big question for me is who's 12? And if one of those kids doesn't step in and fill that role with that bite and that edge that the Canadiens need, then it's most likely going to be Sammy Blais or Joe Veleno.
We're almost on the same page, because I see Veleno centering that line. I see Newhook going to the wing.
It's possible.
And I see Samuel Blais being the 13th player.
It's
so
possible.
I see Veleno as a 12th forward and Samuel Blais as the 13th.
I don't. I think if it ends up that way, it's because the kid's disappointed in this camp.
Did you like
so
Veleno
far,
yesterday? Did you like Veleno yesterday?
I like parts of his game. I like parts of Blais' game. I like Blais so far through training camp. He does have a physical edge. I know he's a player who can put the puck in the net. I think the foot speed is not, ideal or where you want it to be. I think that was an issue. That's been an issue that's plagued him throughout his career. Can he overcome it with the determination that he plays with? Veleno, he had some nice moments in last game. He had some other moments where I don't think there was anything bad in there. It's just these guys are veteran guys that ultimately, if they end up on the outside looking in to start the season, you're not really losing anything. But the kids have to show that they're kind of not ready for the assignment. And so far, they're passing the test. Like Owen Beck, it was great for him to score a goal, but even if he didn't, he's playing good hockey. He's playing good hockey from rookie camp all the way through.
Yeah, he was.
He's tough. He's strong, and he's willing to do anything. And he also can play as a penalty killer. Kapanen, a very heady, smart player. Put the puck in the net in the shootout. It's not a small thing. It's a part of what can make him interesting. The fact that both those guys play center is an alleviating factor for Newhook, who is not the best in the faceoff circle. It helps him on the strong side, on the right side, where those two guys are right-handed. Veleno obviously gets into that mix because he can play center, and Marty said we'll see about Newhook and where he ends up playing. So I look at those three guys, and I think, and with Blay, throw him in on the wing, I think there's a very serious competition there. Xhekaj is a guy that I believe will play NHL games this year. Whether or not it's right at the start, I think he's probably more towards the bottom of that list of pushing for that spot. But there's still 2 weeks left to go of training camp. Like,
I think
who's going to step up?
I think Blay is at 13. I think he's the ideal candidate, right? Here's a guy who's 29 years old, a guy who won a Stanley Cup, a guy who's got a lot of experience. We know what he can bring to the table. He's got sandpaper. He's got grit. He's got energy. At this stage of his career, if he doesn't play 3 out of every 4 games, you're not stunting his development because he's already reached his ceiling. I think he's ideal. I really liked Joe Veleno's game last night. I really did. I mentioned that last night. There's only one thing I didn't like was this, in the face-off circle, and that is something that could ultimately end up hurting him.
So what did he end up? So I had too much. You guys should know I like to write long stuff and everything like that, but there is a certain limit I get to where it's like, okay, it's too much if I continue to throw stuff in there. Last night I was at about 1,700 to 1,800 words. I was going to have a note in there about what Veleno did in defensive zone draws, what Newhook did in defensive zone draws. That was something I was looking at. I ended up scrapping it. So where did they end up in that part? I think I still have it open in my computer. I can look right now. So we have, and it's important to note, they were facing 2 good sets. They were facing Couturier and they were facing Dvorak. Those are 2 good face-off guys.
Yeah. So
Newhook went 3 for 4 in the offensive zone. He went 2 for 5 in the defensive zone. He went 3 for 3 in the neutral zone. Total, he was 8 and 12. So that's pretty good, 67%. Veleno went 0 for 2 in the neutral zone. He went 2 for 4 in the defensive zone and 3 for 7 in the offensive zone, 5 for 13 on the night. These are determinant factors. I guarantee you, if I was thinking about that last night, and obviously you were, because you mentioned it as the one downside, those guys who are making that decision are looking at that also.
Yeah, Nick Suzuki, by the way, had a great night at 72%. I talked about this yesterday. When are you going to find a centerman that goes 67%, who doesn't finish first in faceoffs? Another one who goes 72%, who doesn't finish first in faceoff. Florian Xhekaj won 4 or 5. He won 80%. So the Canadiens were all good in the faceoff circle last night, with the exception of Joe Veleno. I liked Veleno on the penalty kill. He got 3 minutes and 18 seconds. I think he was on for the 5-on-3 against. So once again, did he win a job last night? I don't know if he won a job, but are you at all? I need you to think about this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So they have a young core: Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavka. You're in a different mood tonight. I don't know what it is. All right, okay, okay. Suzuki, Caulfield. I think I know what it is. Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky, Demidov, Lane Hudson on defense. Cooley. We know that they're young. And now you lose Armia and you lose Dvorak.
They're younger.
And you bring in Bolduc, and now there's another opportunity for another young player. They're younger. You need to add some experience. And I think Joe Veleno's 308 games in the National Hockey League, or whatever it is, for you, how much value do you put on that you would have a Veleno who can bring 308 games to the table compared to another young player that has anywhere between 0 and 20 games?
I bring value to it when I need it. If Joe Veleno outright seizes the job as the 12th forward on this team and essentially moves into a third-line role with Newhook and Bolduc, it would be good news for the Canadiens that he stepped up and took it. If he's taking it because the kids just look not ready to be able to step in, that's another story. Also, if it is the case that one of the kids, be it Beck or Kapanen or Xhekaj, I'm not counting him out of that race at this point, steps into that role ahead of Veleno, ahead of Bolduc, it's a way, you pass the training camp test and the preseason test, and then the regular season starts. last year, Kapanen passed the training camp and preseason test. And I understand European out clause. They wanted to get more runway with him and test things out. Well, the regular season started. He wasn't ready. And then the decision came, and it was okay. It's time to go back to Sweden.
Yeah.
What you don't want is you're taking one of these kids on the team and you're saying, well, Veleno looked pretty good in training camp, so we're going to sit the kid for the first 10 games of the season. That's not the plan. I mean, that can't be the plan. That's not where you want to go with it. Ultimately, young players need to play games, and that's just the stage that Joe Veleno's at in his career, and it's not a bad thing. Like, this team is not going to be 100% healthy all the way through. They were a lot healthier last year than anybody expected after 3 years of misery. I expect there to be a bit of course correction, hopefully nothing like we saw over the 3 years that preceded last year. And look, it's a race. Guys, we're 1 week through. We're 1 week through training camp. There's 2 more weeks to go. Let's see who emerges. One thing, if I'm the Habs, one thing I'm thrilled about.
Yeah.
Instead of looking around and being like, is there one guy who's really going to push his way? I see like so many guys that are flashing NHL potential. I can't remember the last time the Canadiens had a prospect pool that looked anything like this on paper. But what we're seeing from it on the ice right now is a whole new world. And the reason why, I mean, they've never gone through a rebuild before. They've always been competitive for the most part. Have there been some horrible years mixed in between? Yes, but not intentionally. So there was never this point where they could stockpile so many of these good young players. I watched Xhekaj play and say, this kid's going to play in the NHL. I watched Davidson play and say, this kid is going to play in the NHL. Like, I don't know if it's this year for either of those two.
They're also doing a good job of drafting good players in later rounds that end up playing in the National Hockey League or will one day, right?
And developing. Like, the development is the biggest piece. It was their biggest flaw, and it has become their biggest strength.
I always thought that when there was so much criticism of Trevor Timmins, and I'm not going to say that Trevor was perfect. He had his good picks and he had his not so good picks. But I always thought that the development team, or the lack of development that they had going, was a bigger factor than the scouting.
It just wasn't where they invested. Now they've made major investments, major resources have come in to handle that, and look at what's happening.
It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. They never made major investments, right? In a league that's a salary cap league, there's no cap on how much you pay your front office staff and your development team and your coaches and your scouts and stuff like that. I've always thought that was mind-boggling.
But Tony, there was no point in the history of the team prior to the hire of Jeff Gordon and Kent Hughes and Martin St. Louis where focusing on youth would have been the optimal way of moving forward through a season. That was never the modus operandi here. So, like, it makes sense. Like, it's just, it is what it is. They recognized they had a massive weakness and had to address it. You and I talked about Adam Nicholas's role and where that has come, and obviously
huge. He's a big-time player for the Canadiens, Adam Nicholas.
We need to give some major credit to Pascal Vincent for what he did with that team in Laval last year, one of the youngest teams in the league, if not the youngest team in the league. Because when I look at these players, and I just mentioned Xhekaj and Davidson, Beck is his, he came to Laval with a lot of details baked in. He's got 1 year of pro hockey under his belt. He is continuing to progress. Nobody talks about Sean Farrell. Sean Farrell has developed really well in the American Hockey League. He has rounded out he was a cerebral, smart, on the edges type player when he came out of college at Harvard, a lower NCAA ranked kind of program. And if you speak to the people in Laval and the strides they've seen this player take over the last few years, there are some other teams out there that don't have 2-3 prospects that are as good as Sean Farrell is, and like the path is blocked for him here in Montreal. It's going to be hard. It's going to be to find his way here, but
very, very hard, if not impossible.
But he's a really good player. They have a bunch of players in their system, and like we didn't even mention Fowler. Jacob Fowler we're learning a lot about him right now.
Franchise goalie.
He looks fantastic. So
franchise goalie.
Pascal Vincent, and it's easy to see why he's a good coach. You know, you talk to him, the press conferences that he ran in rookie camp. If you're a fan and you haven't seen them, like, go back and watch. Such a smart, kind person who clearly, with his experience, is doing an excellent job. So, look, in the years past, we've said, who's the one kid who's going to kind of emerge? Right now at this training camp, I'm looking at a handful of kids that you're looking at and just saying, like, we didn't mention Engstrom and Reinbacher. There's 5-6 guys here that, like, Rohrer. I had a guy who emailed me today who was upset about the fact that I didn't mention Rohrer in my piece yesterday, which was takeaways from the first 2 preseason games.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I didn't mention him. There are so many names to go through that I just talked about.
Yeah.
Yes, this kid has had the puck on his stick quite a bit. He's finding a way to get it there.
He's been very good. He's been very good.
He's really smart. Talking to him off the ice, I was super impressed. You know, his dad was a professional athlete in a different sport. I'm blanking right now on what the sport was. It'll come back to me. But this kid, what he's showing me right now is that a year from now, based on the experience that he's getting here, all those touches that he's getting, he's going to be able to do something with them. He's getting pretty close to doing something with them, and he did in a scrimmage, but you get him into a few more preseason games, you send him back to where he's going to play this year, most likely in Switzerland, I believe. In a year from now, he's going to come back and be one of those names that we're talking about who's knocking on the door to the NHL. And like that, you know, you go through a rebuild, that's all you can ask for, is to have a host of players that are really pushing. And that's good because the Canadiens themselves look like a good team, right? They look like they're going to be a good team.
Canadiens are going to be a good team, and the Laval Rocket are going to be a good team. And you know what? Selfishly, I want a lot of these good players who are from the Rocket to go back to the Rocket because we at Sick Media are the voice of the Laval Rocket, the audio voice.
Well, there's not a lot of space, right? There's one space in the Canadiens lineup right now. The good news is if there ends up being 3 or 4 spaces because guys get hurt, there are players here. And, you know, we haven't even talked about William Trudeau. Like, this kid has had a lot of good professional experience and proved to be a serviceable player. I think if he got a bit of runway in the NHL as an injury fill-in, he would be a reliable guy where you're not upsetting the development of a younger player, maybe like a guy like Engstrom, who is clearly trending towards being an NHLer one day. He's been hurt. He's rehabbing a small injury. We haven't seen him, obviously, but he's a pro. They have good options around them. They've done really good work from top to bottom. You know, you give credit to John Sedgwick. Everybody talks about Jeff Gordon and Kent Hughes. He's done a good job assembling the American Hockey League team and overseeing it. So, look, if you're a Canadiens fan, you're entering a new era of where this team is headed, and an exciting one. Like, I think I told you a couple of weeks ago, I don't know how successful this team will be this year, but I think they're going to be extremely compelling. Like, and I see a future over the next 10 years beyond this one where they're the most compelling team in Canada. Only the Senators will compete with them in that department. I know
I agree with
you. Has their players, and I know Toronto still has their players, and Vancouver is a different story. Calgary, I think Craig Conroy is doing some good things over there, and there's some young players there, but they've got a road ahead of them. Montreal, though, like, the culture that's been built here and the excitement over the talent that's been accumulated and the depth that's coming through the system.
Add it all up. Nick
Suzuki. That's a good one.
Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Juraj Slafkovsky, Ivan Demidov, Michael Hage, Caden Gooley, Lane Hudson, David Reinbacher.
It's a long-time core.
Jacob Fowler. You know what? Add it all up.
Noah Dobson.
Noah Dobson. The Canadiens are, Florian Xhekaj.
The oldest guy's 26.
The Canadiens are going to be, they're going to be the best team in Canada for sure.
Suzuki just turned 26. I don't know about the best, but they're going to be the most compelling one. It's going to be them in Ottawa, and the rivalry between those two teams being 200 kilometers away from each other, give or take.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. Like,
There
I
are
can't wait to
teams-
cover Montreal Sens games.
There are a couple of teams that did the rebuild the right way. Colorado Avalanche, I think, were one. The Pittsburgh Penguins were another. The Chicago Blackhawks were another. And those teams all won Stanley Cups. Colorado won one. Pittsburgh won 3. Chicago won 3. And they were very competitive for anywhere between Colorado for about 10 years now, or whatever it is. I think, off the top of my head. Pittsburgh and Chicago probably for about 13 or 14, 15 years. And
You need some luck.
the Canadians, that's what they're doing. That's what
You
they
need
put
some
together.
luck.
And you add to that Gordon, Hughes, Adam Nicholas in player development, their analytics team, Marty St. Louis behind the bench, Pascal Vincent developing these kids in the American Hockey League. You take a look at the core of the Canadians, their players, their coaches, their management team, their scouts, their development team, and all that stuff. Within 4 or 5 years, I don't see how anyone could say it's not going to be the best in hockey.
So when you say, like, rebuild's good, and you mentioned Pittsburgh, Chicago, and Colorado, there's some, people who will debate that and say, well, they got lucky. What was lucky was when they landed first overall, Nathan McKinnon was available. Juraj Slafkovsky is not Nathan McKinnon. Okay, Juraj Slafkovsky is going to be a really great player. I love everything I'm seeing from this player right now, and I've been a believer from the start in this player. I knew, it's a project with a guy his size and what he had to grow into, where he's coming from, the European style, the experience that he had coming into the NHL, the youngest player in the league. It's been a slow burn, but a really good one. And we've seen the flashes of a player that he's going to be. And I think as we move on here, and he's only, how old is he, 21?
Yeah.
I have to check. Is he 22 yet? No, I think he's 20.
No. He came into the league as an 18-year-old. He had 3 seasons in the National Hockey League.
Yeah. So, I mean, think about what this kid is going to be when he's 23. I think at 21 he's going to be fantastic, but at 23. But the point was, okay, maybe it was a little less lucky that when the Canadiens were first overall, there wasn't a McKinnon sitting there. Not a slight against Slafkovsky. Want to know what was lucky?
Turned 21 6 months ago. Go ahead.
What was lucky was getting Demidov at 5th. That's a little bit of luck that you need in the rebuild.
That's a
lot available to you at 5th overall.
That's a lot of luck because if things end up developing the way they should be developing, he'll be the first or worst second player in that draft.
He's unbelievable. I don't need to temper my own expectations for him.
I'm not going to say the first for sure because I think Celebrini's unbelievable too.
We knew what Hudson was going to be. We know what Demidov is going to be. There's not questions about it at this point. It's you have eyes. If you're out there and you're like, whoa, pump the brakes. You have eyes, right? Like, you can see it. Yeah, Celebrini, what that kid did last year at 18 years old, the completeness of his game. I don't compare him to Crosby, but I would compare his rookie season to what we saw from Crosby when he first came in the league. Like, there's not players who come into the league at 18 that have that level of detail in their game. He's also a great kid.
He's unbelievable. No, Celebrini's unbelievable.
I think he's, if Demidov matches the career that Celebrini has, we're looking at 2 of the great superstars we've seen in this era of hockey. Like, so, if that, and I would very easily predict, and somebody can come back 5 years from now and dunk on me for it. But we'll look 5 years down the line at a redraft here, and I don't know. I think it'll be unanimous that 1-2 would be Celebrini Demidov. Like,
I think so.
The question 5 years from now will be which one of them is 1 and which one is 2 if Demidov is as good as I think he is. But I don't think it'll still be much of a question just because of the value Celebrini has at center and the details in his game. But
I think you're right. I think you're right. We have a lot to talk about on this Wednesday night of the Sick Podcast. A shout out to Playground, if I can, winning Wednesday, the ultimate midweek experience for players age 50 and up. Start your day with a $5 breakfast as of 7 a.m. Take your shot at winning your age in cash with hourly draws until 3 p.m. Don't forget to claim your free play, available until 10 p.m. Wednesdays were made for winning only at Playground. Also, of course, a shout out to Betway. Go all the way with Betway. Get a free bet up to $200. Your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen. Click on the link in detail section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offer is not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. And please play responsibly. All right, okay. So Eric says the profile of the player next to Newhook and Bolduc, that's where there's a spot open. And he says that, you know what, could very well be that the profile they're looking for on that line is a Florian Xhekaj. And it's hard to disagree with that. I think it was Titani who said on YouTube, Joe Veleno can do no wrong for Tony Marinaro, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I never said that. All I said was, I think the fact that Veleno can play center and wing, he's 6'1", 202, 203. He's got 308 NHL games under his belt. He's a kid from here. I think you add it all up. I think he ends up making the team. Would I be shocked if he doesn't? I wouldn't be shocked, but I think he'll end up making the team.
I don't want to.
13, we'll see.
I just want to correct the record. I don't want people thinking that I'm saying that Xhekaj is going to be the guy in that spot. Okay, there is 2 weeks left. There's a race going on. He's making himself noticed. He was behind in the race for sure, because just there's a certain level of development that still needs to happen for the player. Do I think all day, every day he's going to get some NHL games in sooner rather than later? I do. I think that whoever plays that role, whoever ends up on that line, brings some balls to the table, man. Like, you need to play gritty, edgy hockey. And you know what? If you look at the two guys who are really battling for that spot, and it's Owen Beck and Oliver Kapanen, the edge goes to Beck in that department. The question for me is, over the next 2 weeks, can Kapanen catch up and deliver those elements of the game? Because it doesn't come naturally to him. You know, last year when I watched him play, I saw a really smart, fast hockey player, good hands, in the right spots, professional habits. I think it's only natural and normal at his age to be stepping into the NHL from the Swedish Hockey League to be a little intimidated.
Yeah.
He was a little intimidated by what was going on in front of him, and it's not something to be embarrassed about or anything like that. It is the hardest league in the world, and it is a scary place to be for a kid who's not fully filled out and is playing at that speed for the first time. Now, how has that experience shaped his offseason and his goal to go and grab that spot? I don't see him shying away from it, but can he impose himself? I'm not looking for Oliver Kapanen to go banging and crashing into the corners, but I am looking for, if there's a hit available to him and he's F1, you better throw it.
Yeah, I hear you. Better throw it in. You know what? I'm going to say the same thing about Joshua Roy. I talked about this with Mario Langlois.
Yeah, we didn't mention him. He's also in that race. He's clearly in that race.
Well, in the race, I mean, it's going to have to be better than he was last night.
I think people are harsh on Roy. You know, there was elements of last night. I thought he was solid in the first period.
Okay.
In the second period, he was more muted. And I think people have
what did he do last night where you said, oh, well, this is good?
I thought his pace was good.
Okay.
I watched it through the first period. His pace was good. I thought he faded in the second period. You know, I asked Marty about...
he's lighter on his skates. He's in better shape, so he's moving faster. I mean, I talked to you about Veleno before. Veleno skates well, too. And I saw somebody say on YouTube that Veleno skating is an issue. No, it's not.
No. He's a good skater.
Veleno's he's a very good skater.
I think everybody saw a bit of Joshua Roy being hyped up in the summer, getting into the best shape of his life, this and that, losing 15 pounds, ready to show it. And, like, they're expecting him making things happen, bang, bang, bang. And honestly, if he wants to make the team, he's got it. He has to do it. I asked Martin St. Louis about Caulfield's evolution. You know, Suzuki, if you go back to before last year, we were in Florida. He had an absolutely incredible game, head-to-head with Barkov. They ended up with the same, I think it was 1 goal, 2 assists, and the game went to a shootout, crazy game. And I remember we were talking to Marty after the game, and he said, I think he's only scratching the surface. We were talking about him and Barkov in the comparison. He's like, I think Susie is only scratching the surface of where he's going to go. And then last year happened. When you think about it, like, Caulfield has developed into this extremely complete player. You watch Caulfield play right now, and you go back and look at tape from 3 years ago, it's night and day. He is so good.
St. Louis done a great job with him. St. Louis done a great job with him.
So the question was like, what's Cole got to do to take that step that Nick took last year? Because it's coming. Like, you could see it. What will go into it? And he said it's the consistency within each shift and within each game, not consistent from game to game. Consistent from shift to shift, consistency within your entire shift. Joshua Roy, okay, that's missing, okay? You got to see consistency within the shift itself and then the building of shift after shift and turn it into a good game, not a good period. I saw a good period from last night. I didn't see a good game. A lot of people, judged the over, and I get that. A lot of people looked at him and said, it's not giving me what I need. He still is in the mix for this. There are still 2 weeks to go in training.
He's got to play with more desperation. Remember what happened a year ago, right? He came in, he probably took it for granted. He lost his spot. He ended up in Laval. He's like, oof, what am I doing here? Didn't expect that. Probably thought he would, end up making the big team. The fact of the matter is, when you're at this point, when you're at this level, you know what? You have to go out and you have to eat the boards. You got to eat the boards. You got to go through the boards. You got to put people through the boards. You got to go to the net. You got to crash the net. You got to block shots. Even if you have to block them with your teeth, you got to do everything that the others are not willing to do. You have to pay the price. And if you're not going to score, you're not going to pick up points. You have to put your mark or your stamp on that game in another way. And he didn't do it. Like, for example, Blais had 4 hits. Veleno had 5 hits. Blais had 4 hits. Tuck had 4. I think Thorpe had 6. Everyone got involved. I thought he was less involved than the others.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I look at Waugh, I look at Kapanen, and I say, that stuff you're talking about, eating the boards, throwing the hits, and this and that, that's not their game. Okay? But can they do the other stuff that puts less of an emphasis on them having to do that stuff? It's not that they don't have to do that stuff, but it's not going to be what they lead with. Can Joshua bear down and make the best of his chances? Can he turn his touches into opportunity, scoring chances for his line mates or shots on net? There are elements there that he has the skill and hockey sense to bring, that if he's not going to go crashing into the boards and putting his teeth there, all that stuff you just talked about, because it doesn't come naturally to him, is he doing what he does best? And like Mario says, not every shift affords you the opportunity to do what you do best. You got to play the game. Look, he is in a dogfight here. The one thing that I would say is there's a lot of people that have made firm conclusions in their head about what's going to happen and what's going to shake out. And we have the season starts October 8th. I'm looking forward to next year, Tony, when it's a 13-day training camp. I can't watch these 26-day training camps anymore.
Yeah, I have a hard time with it too. I'm not going to lie to you.
This is the last year of one of those, and we're only a week through. Time here, not everything is settled.
I have a little bit of a hard time with it too. I got to tell you.
It's brutal. Believe me, if you and I don't like it, you can imagine how they all feel about it. I don't think these guys who train, we talked about all the skates they had in the summer and all the guys sticking around and the 42 guys on the ice in August. And they don't need 27 days of training camp. They don't need 24 days.
Have you already decided? Do you think they've already decided on who the backup goalie is going to be, even though we're only a couple of games at the preseason?
Nope.
You don't think they know?
I think what's decided in their mind is...
I think it's Dobish's job to lose.
Yes, it is. I think they know who's ahead in each race. They know who's ahead in each race. In fact, they place players ahead in each race. The question is, who's going to catch up and knock somebody up?
Well, the question is,
and who's going to fall down? Maybe
is also what's better for each player's development.
What's better for the team is the only question. That's I'm telling you right now, we're in a different phase here. If you would have said that a year ago, or even 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, I would agree with you 100%. I'm not saying it's a non-factor, but that's taking a backseat to what's the best thing for the Montreal Canadiens right now. That's the fun of where we're at right now with the Canadiens, is that it's about right now. And that, I'm sure, like Jeff Gordon, Kent Hughes, Martin St. Louis, Adam Nicholas, anybody you ask, they have been dying for this moment to come, and here it is.
Canadiens going to trade for Connor McDavid or what? A buddy of mine asked me that today.
You know what?
Connor McDavid?
I don't know what Connor's going to do, but how many teams?
What do you think he's going to do?
I think a lot of people believe that he's going to re-sign in Edmonton.
I think so, short term.
For a short-term deal. And I get the logic of it. And I think if I'm Leon Draisaitl, who made the commitment that he made last year, and how close he is with Connor McDavid, if he expressed, like he did on 32 Thoughts, confidence that inevitably it will get done, but he's not pressuring Connor, and he understands it's normal to take time, and it's not a problem, it's not a distraction, I have to believe that it's probably going to go that way. But, like, it's hard to make a decision before you see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I know.
If maybe, ultimately, and a lot of people ignore this in the equation, okay? Connor McDavid is married, I believe.
Yes.
So he's not making the decision alone. There are other people involved in his life that have to do. When Wayne Gretzky,
I know for a fact that he's married because a buddy of mine took care of his suits for the entire wedding party.
When Wayne Gretzky was traded out of Edmonton, it's not as if he had no say in that situation. If people don't know the story, he wasn't just. They didn't just pick up the phone and say, Wayne, we're trading you. And all of a sudden it was, oh, my God, I can't believe it. Wayne Gretzky was ready to move on from Edmonton. And then, that decision was made with many people around him and the people that he was closest with, like Mitch Marner, who decided to leave Toronto in the end, and talking about his security and how he felt about it in Toronto. It's not just Mitch Marner acting for Mitch Marner here. So I don't know that will motivate McDavid's decision. I do know this. If he decides that he wants to move on from Edmonton, I'm sure there's many teams that would line up to take him. But how many of them could actually give him 20% of their cap and field a team that he can win with? Because that's what's motivating Connor McDavid more than anything. And that's why he's not ready to sign in Edmonton yet, because he needs to see clearly what's going to shake out with their group and whether or not he'll believe he'll have a runway to win with that group. My personal opinion on Edmonton, I don't know if they're ever going to have a better chance than the last two that they just missed.
I think it's going to be tough for them to have a better chance than the last two. But anyway, Connor McDavid's so good that he can put the team on his back. Leon's not too shabby either. Okay, all right. I'll tell you how we can end this thing. We can end it on just your thoughts on Xhekaj Arber's game last night and the fact that, there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of years that every now and then, he probably ends up taking a bad penalty. And there was a 4-minute penalty that he took yesterday, which negated a Montreal Canadiens power play. I say this, it's preseason. Like, I don't really care at all. But I'm wondering if you think that it should be a concern, or if you think that St. Louis probably was bothered by it.
I can't say whether or not Martin was bothered by it. I know he would have loved to have tested Arber out. He made a joking comment like, we didn't get to use Arber on the penalty kill.
He was in the box. I saw that.
I don't know if that was a shot at Arber or the fact that they ended up on the penalty kill because they gave him 4 minutes. Like, it was kind of a dubious call. It should have been an even up situation, but because it was a retaliation, they did it. They did it with the way it was. Look, I think Arber will exercise the necessary restraint when he needs to in the regular season, and there will be times where he takes a penalty that nobody likes, and the Canadiens will have to suck it up and kill it. Like, that's it. As far as the rest of it's concerned, are you guys watching this kid play right now? I mean, not everybody's gotten to see him play in training camp.
I thought he was okay last night. I thought he's been fantastic before last night. The training camp, I think he's been unbelievable. He's flying. You know what I liked last night? His first passes, his quality of his passes, and the way he sees the game. I find that he's passing the puck a lot better, and he's seeing the game a lot better than before. So
I think there's much more than that. I think the stuff that he told me that he specifically worked on is so obvious to the eye. The cornering in his own zone, shedding guys on the forecheck, moving quick. He can skate the puck out of the zone just as easily as he can pass it.
He moves better. He moves better.
His feet are great. He's lighter, and he is involved in all three zones. He is absolutely reading the play faster because his feet are moving. He's not having to stop and start up again because he's reading things. This guy, there is a considerable step that he has taken in his development. And look, he's still a young player. There's going to be ups and downs, and I think people should have some restraint when they analyze what they see from him on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes it's not going to go his way. He's playing on a defense pairing with Alex Carrier, and every now and then they're going to get caught, and it's just, I think Alex Carrier is going to be a great partner for him.
Yes.
You have Alex Carrier and Arber Xhekaj as a third pairing behind Noah Dobson and Mike Matheson and Lane Hudson and Caden Gooley. You're laughing.
But I don't think Xhekaj's a slam dunk on Struble, though. Like, he played more games than him last year. I expect him to play more games than him this year. But if Struble gets on a run, he can get his share too.
Well, Xhekaj's going to have to keep his game up. But
yeah,
what I'm seeing from him right now, I can't believe the difference from last year to this year.
Much improved.
The most improved player on the team in such a short window of time.
I think you're right. I think you're right on that. I'll agree with you on that. Eric Engels was in a good mood tonight, and usually we don't do this on Wednesday night, so thanks for taking the time, because usually we do this on Monday nights. You're a collaborator, a regular collaborator every Monday night on the Sick Podcast, but seeing as the Canadiens played on Monday night and they played on Tuesday night, you did this tonight. So merci beaucoup, mon ami. I'll talk to you soon.
Ça fait plaisir.
Oh, il parle français aussi. Ben
ouais, il parle français. Tu devrais m'écouter en français parce que ça s'en vient.
Ça s'en vient.
Ça s'en vient.
C'est déjà très bon. Merci, Eric.
I can't say anymore.
Le voilà. Eric Engels. All right. Special thanks to our sponsors. Energy Transportation Group is one. Playground is the other. La Bittt Tibi is the other. Souvlaki Authentique is the other. And Betway is the other. If you like the podcast tonight, leave us a 5-star review. It's our way of feeling the love. But before I let you go, why don't I take 3 quick questions? 3 questions. Why don't I do that? All right. Let me see. Will Demidov be better than Marner? I like Demidov a lot. It's going to be very hard for me to say that he's going to be better than someone who led the Toronto Maple Leafs in points, I think 5 of 9 years, and had seasons of over 100 points. I think he'll be more competitive than Marner. I think he'll be better under pressure than Marner. I think he'll be more of a clutch player than Marner. I think he'll be a more exciting player than Marner. Will he end up producing more points than Marner? I'm not willing to say that. I think Mitch Marner's a star in the league. There's no doubt about it. All right. Next question. 66 Spinning says, who can replace Laine and Dvorak? Blais, Veleno. Why Laine and Dvorak? I guess it should be Armia and Dvorak. Blais, Veleno, come on. It's time for younger like Davidson and Florian. Without them, there's no future. I don't agree, 66 Spinning. Like, Davidson and Florian Xhekaj will be on the team one day. But you can't have a team just full of young guys and you replace veterans by young guys and then you expect to make the playoffs, you expect to grow. These young players need mentors too. And don't forget, they also added in Zachary Bolduc, who's a pretty young guy himself. So I think you need veterans on the team. Titani, is it better for Florian to learn offense in Laval for a year or be a grinder in the National Hockey League? I think there's a project there with Pascal Vincent, who sees an Adam Lowry type player in Florian Xhekaj. And I would want Xhekaj to go back to the Laval Rocket and dominate. And Pascal Vincent, I would tell him, you know what? They're all your projects. They're all your assignments. But keep a very close eye on this guy because, there's something going there with Florian Xhekaj. That's it for me. So listen, thank you, all of you. Tomorrow night, the Canadiens are back at it again. And they play the Toronto Maple Leafs at the Bell Center. I'm going to be back after the game at around 10 p.m. Same time, same place, the Sick Podcast. Special thanks to our people at Master Control, Agnello, and Sammy Cavallaro. Sick Podcast, I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. La Vida TB, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.